Yeah, and I think we've talked about it before on the channel of more often than not, football games are lost versus won. So turnovers, like you mentioned, penalties, you those are things that, coaches focus on because those are things that will get you beat. Michigan's only regular season loss last year was Michigan State, where they had, if I'm not mistaken, two turnovers. I think maybe three. I think they had JJ's
Two
fumble and
turnover,
Cade's
two
pick.
two
So it,
turnovers. I mean, you gave a two-point conversions. There was a couple fourth down conversions. And that was that Michigan State game was a breakdown on so many different fronts. I mean, they had. I mean, there was probably times when the coach staff should have called the timeout during one of those Michigan State drives where it was clear as day that the Michigan defense was on their heels, and Michigan State would have them in a non-huddle, and like those are type of situations, mistakes that hurt them. That was definitely their most mistake type football they played was at the Michigan State game. Everything else is pretty clean the rest of the year, and you just can't have that. And here's another thing, this just shows you how slim the margin can be in certain games. I mean, you can make a pretty good argument that Michigan should have lost at Nebraska if Nebraska didn't have such a turnover, Magny and Adrian Martinez. Maybe Nebraska wins that football game. Michigan doesn't make it out of Lincoln with that win. That literally one possession. That's it. So it's so important to take care of the football and also to not beat yourself.
Yeah, and I think too. You mentioned with the defense and the play calling. That is, I think that is something that I feel is underrated and probably isn't being talked about enough because, like, I understand and I believe it's Jesse Minter is taking over for goodness Mike. It was not McDaniel. What was his last name? The defensive coordinator from last
Mike
year,
McDonald.
Mike McDonald. Yes. So I know they both came from Baltimore in that system, but guys have different just philosophies, right? Like they are coaching in that system, but there's a defensive coordinator who is calling plays, so it's not those guys who are calling plays. Now I get it. I believe Mike McDonald now is calling plays there in Baltimore, but you just never know. Maybe Minter has more of an aggressive style where he may, blitz more, or maybe he blitzes less than Mike McDonald, but
Kind of start.
listen, we're passing down Brown. We're passing down Brown era. We don't have to worry about that. But
I'm just saying that you said a word that kind of brings back bad memories. So
but that's something that there's a feel to that as far as when to blitz and just how do you get your rhythm as a play caller, even on defense. Like you have a tendency to go base defense more often than not, or after a big play. There's things like that the really high level coaches, especially the offensive coordinators, they are big on that. They know that if after a first down, if we go no huddle, they're going to go base defense. That's going to be our time to take a shot. So it's different situations like that at this point Jesse Minter just hasn't been in. But I do think that is something that has probably not been talked about enough when you talk about switching a coordinator, especially one of a unit that played as well as Michigan's defense did last year.